Ace was in desperate need of a haircut. His hair was a mess of dead ends and was extremely uneven. He basically looked like a slob, and with a job interview the next day, that was the last thing he wanted. A problem arose when he went to his normal barbershop. It was closed down for the week while the owner was out of town. Ace needed this haircut, and the only other place in his town was a fancy beauty salon, but really only women went there, so it would be a bit embarrassing. But with a better job on the line, he was willing to put his pride away and go inside. When he entered, the woman working the front desk seemed super happy to see him and asked him what he was looking to get done today. Ace explained his job interview and how his hair was looking pretty bad, and the woman nodded and agreed. She said he really could use some help, and she recommended the full treatment. Ace went right to thinking she was trying to take advantage of him and sell him something he didn't need. She surprised him, though, and offered him a very generous new customer discount of nearly 70% off. The price would still be a bit more than he was used to paying when he got his hair cut, but with a manicure, haircut, and styling, and several more things, it seemed worth it. He paid for the services, and was taken right to a chair. The stylist handed Ace what looked like a hospital gown to change into so they didn't get any hair products on his clothes, and just in case she splashed too much water. He agreed to put it on, and the stylist stepped back and pulled a curtain around the chair so he could change privately. He put it on and was a bit embarrassed because it barely covered up his manhood. Once he was changed, he sat in the chair, and the stylist opened the curtains, turned the chair around, and pushed it back so his head was in the sink. She told Ace to close his eyes while she worked the special shampoos they use in his hair. He did, and she started rinsing his head with water. Then she poured a ton of the special shampoo on his head and began to massage it in. She told Ace that it was a fast-acting formula that caused rapid, healthy hair growth. She decided to let the shampoo sit for a while and work on some other areas. She grabbed something from her shelf and turned it on. It sort of sounded like an electric razor, but as she ran it up and down his arms and legs, it felt like little sparks were burning him. She told him not to worry, as it was a laser, and it did remove hair, but it also killed dead skin, and used special light to make the new skin super soft and flawless. She spent the next few minutes running the laser over his body, including around his face where his beard was. After she finished, she went back to his hair, which now felt heavier, but Ace chalked it up to being wet. The stylist rinsed the shampoo out of his hair and then grabbed a conditioner that would make his hair shine and make the color more vibrant. Like before, she massaged it into his scalp and let it sit while she went off to work on something else. The stylist told Ace that she was going to apply some muscle-stimulating patches around his body to improve his overall body shape. She started by putting 2 on his chest, then 1 on each side of his waist, followed by 2 of them on his backside, which was a bit awkward as he was still sitting as she did it. She then attached wires to each patch. Ace was curious, so he opened an eye and watched what she was doing. She had some sort of box where all the wires were attached to it, and a dial with a setting between 1 and 10. Ace was positive he'd seen one of those before. It looked like one of those muscle vibration things that help with pain. Sure enough, when she turned it up to an 8, and the vibration started, it was confirmed in his mind. He closed his eyes and went back to letting the stylist work her magic. This time it was onto Ace's nails. She cleaned them, filed them, clipped the broken and chipped parts, and made them all the same length. She said something about fake nails and painting them, but they could discuss that after. She had to finish rinsing his hair out. She walked behind him and rinsed his hair out again. She lifted his chair up and turned him around again. She told him to keep his eyes closed as the hairdryer was a bit strong. He once again agreed, and she placed what felt like a helmet on the top of his head. She turned it on, and the sides began to blow hot air, and a tube on top began to pull on his hair, pulling it straight as it dried. During this time she grabbed his legs and spread them apart. He asked her what she was doing, and she said this was a part of the full service, and not to worry, she had pulled the curtain already so no one would see him. She then said she had a similar muscle stimulant. She placed it on, and it was quite tight, but once it was on, it numbed the area, and Ace could no longer feel it. Now there was only one area left for her to work since everything was busy. So she grabbed her tweezers and some other things and went for Ace's face. She plucked a ton of hairs from his eyebrows, then moved down to his eyelashes. She used something that felt like it clamped onto them and twisted, and then she used some sort of brush-like thing that she said would color them in and make them look fuller. She then did a bunch of other random things around Ace's face before the hairdryer dinged, signaling her hair was now fully dry. She removed the hairdryer and began to brush Ace's hair. Due to all the muscle stimulants relaxing her, she continued to sit there happily with her eyes closed. The stylist then proceeded to use a hair curler on the bottoms of each section of Ace's hair. She made 2 very curly spirals in the front, and in the back, she made the whole thing wavy up to her neck. She then proceeded to cut off excess strands and finished it off with a lavender-smelling hairspray so it would keep its shape for the rest of the day. She told Ace she was almost done, and all that was left was for her to remove the stimulant patch and sleeve, and then they'd do the fitting. So the woman walked around removing everything, and the second the feeling returned to Ace's body, she realized how different it felt. She opened her eyes to a complete surprise. Where a man once sat was now a very pretty woman. Ace couldn't believe it was her in the mirror. Yeah, she knew makeup and hairstylists could make a man look like a girl, but Ace clearly had a female chest now, and they looked very real. Ace looked at the stylist and asked what the heck she did to her. The stylist looked confused and said this was the full service. Or as it's actually known, the full femme service. She then winked at him and said it was known to be a bit of a shock at first, but everyone who's ever undergone it has come to love it, and she knew Ace would as well. She then even boldly claimed Ace would get that new job for sure. Ace wanted to complain and maybe even get her money back, but the stylist said it was time for the fitting, grabbed Ace's hand and brought her into the back. The stylist forced Ace into all kinds of dresses and heels, but settled on a nice black dress with a pair of open-toed 5-inch heels. She was then given a set of underwear to wear under the dress, and that was it. Now Ace's full femme service was complete, and she was a whole new person ready for the world and her job interview, whether or not she wanted it. After she was done, the stylist scheduled her for another service 2 months later and waved her goodbye. Now Ace stood outside the store, still in shock that she was now in public wearing a dress and as a woman. Her phone then beeped with a message. She looked at it, and it was from the place she was interviewing at tomorrow. They asked her to come in today, as something came up with the hiring manager, and he wouldn't be in the next day but was available today. So the new Ace went to that interview and didn't get the job she wanted. That was only because the CEO had noticed her walk into the building and knew right away that he had to have Ace. So he hired her as his personal assistant and secretary, which she accepted since it paid so much more, and she really didn't have to do much. Of course, she did find out that the CEO had put a dress code and beauty standard into her contract that she was supposed to follow. So it looks like she'll definitely be heading back to the salon for her next appointment.
Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. Also check out my Patreon and DeviantArt pages. There you can find all my public stories. You can also support my work by getting early access to all stories, exclusive content, and even commission me to make you a custom story. Anyways, thanks again for watching. I hope you have a great day.